A major problem that modern Westerners have, and most are not even aware that they have the problem, is that they don't know how to read this in its cultural context. And that one of the areas where that really comes up is in the worldview. That's the second pillar of culture. We keep thinking there's science in the Bible. Well, science was invented in Europe in the Middle Ages. And that's 500 years after the last book of the Bible was even written. It's really naive and dumb to think that there's science in the Bible. And I know you've seen this thing up on the internet, put it up on screen. The laws of science have to align with the Bible because they're written by the same author. Well, it's true, but it's not true. The difficulty is that what scientists discover are what believers, us Christian folk, think are how God made the earth to function. And that's the key, the function. The ancient Israelites thought about function too, but they didn't think about how things were made, where they came from, or what their material was. They thought about how it functioned. So what they're thinking is it functions within the framework of my understanding of the cosmos. And God didn't fix their problem. He didn't fix it for them. God didn't explain quantum mechanics. He didn't explain string theory. He didn't explain Newtonian gravity theories. He didn't explain thermodynamics. He didn't explain atomic structure. He didn't explain any of that stuff. These were Israelites that grew up as construction workers in Egypt. Now they're shepherds out in the desert. And he wants to tell them that he's very concerned about them. He cares about them. He will take care of them. And he's not going to try and fix their culture to do it, because they have to understand the message instead of getting all confused and twisted up and wondering, what kind of a weirdo God they got. So he explains it to them in terms of culture. And the simplest way to understand it is understand your Bible is to simply understand God is explaining himself within the culture. So what is an ancient Middle Eastern worldview? Well, they're the first candidates for the Flat Earth Society. They had this idea that the earth had a dome over it. They called it the firmament, actually. And what they could see was the inside of the dome. They thought the dome extended all the way around the bottom, and that would be where the underworld was, and over the dome was water, and above the dome was the heavens. Hence, you get the expression windows of heaven. It's an opening in the dome. Let me put up on the screen two pictures. The one on the left is the one we know, and the one on the right is the one they know. Now let's take a little closer look at this. You see a dome, and that dome, it's in their mind, is as hard as flint rock. And the lights that we call stars, they thought were just points of light that were placed on the dome. They thought they were maybe deities or angels or something. They didn't know what they were. But they thought they existed on the inside of the dome, as did the moon, as did the sun. And we live on this flat earth, because to them the Middle East was all the planet there was. That's all that existed. So they're on a flat earth. And then they have an underworld called Sheol. That's where anything that dies goes there. They don't know what it is. They don't know what's going on there, if anything. They think caves are the entrance to the Sheol, the underworld. They're afraid to go in them. They thought if they climbed up mountains, they might touch the sky, so no ancient Easterner ever did that either. They never ventured out of sight of land, or very rarely out of sight of land. So they didn't venture all that far away. So that's the Middle East. If you progress down through that picture, you see it's a flat earth with its seas. And when you read that story of Noah's Ark, it said those windows of heaven opened and water from above the firmament came down. And there were doorways in the bottom of the earth, and water came up from there. And when When the waters subsided, it was the waters going back down to where they belonged. And then if you go down through that chart a little further, you're going to see Sheol, and that was all a mysterious realm to them. So this is Middle Eastern worldview in ancient times. And I'm sorry if this upsets your thinking, but this is the way your Bible is written. That's why you get phrases like the four winds for the four corners of the earth. That's why it says Sheol, the underworld. That's why you get God divided the firmament from the firmament, put a space between in the dome. That's the way they thought. God didn't upset them with what we call modern science. No, he said, I made this, I am here. Next time we'll get into that in a little bit more detail. But until we do, keep looking up at the Master.